Have you ever felt the weight of a shadow lurking just beyond the corner of your eye? A presence that whispers of things you were never meant to know. My name is Ethan, and I've spent my life in the small, unassuming town of Maplewood, a place where the mundane often masks the extraordinary. Nestled between the sprawling woods and the murky waters of Lake Willow, my childhood home felt like a sanctuary, a refuge from the chaos of the world. But beneath the surface of sleepy streets and friendly faces, a darkness simmered, waiting for the right moment to emerge. I remember the first time I heard the stories about Slender Man. They were hushed whispers shared among friends at Parker Middle School, a tangle of fear and fascination woven into our youthful banter. I often found myself drawn to the tales, the way they danced on the edge of reality, pulling me into the unknown. As I listened to my friend Sarah recount her chilling encounter in the woods behind her house, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more, something sinister. One crisp autumn evening, I decided to venture into those very woods, armed only with a flashlight and an insatiable curiosity. The trees loomed tall and twisted, their branches clawing at the sky as if trying to escape the earth. I felt the air grow thick, charged with an energy that sent shivers down my spine. With each crackling leaf underfoot, the stories replayed in my mind, and I couldn't help but wonder, was Slender Man real? As I wandered deeper, the sunlight dwindled, casting the forest into a realm of shadows. That's when I noticed something unusual. A series of strange symbols etched into the bark of an ancient oak tree, their meanings lost to time. I reached out to touch them, and a chill raced through me, igniting a memory of a childhood nightmare, the kind that burrows deep into your psyche and refuses to let go. It was a dream I had long buried, a recurring vision of a faceless figure shrouded in darkness, extending long, spindly limbs that seemed to reach for me. I took a step back, my heart pounding, when I heard it. A soft rustle in the underbrush, an echo of something that shouldn't be there. I was no longer alone. My breath quickened as I scanned the dimly lit surroundings, my mind racing with possibilities. The forest, once a familiar playground, now felt like a labyrinth of dread. Had I unknowingly crossed a line into a world where myth and reality collided? Then, just as I was about to turn back, I stumbled upon something shocking. A tattered piece of fabric caught on a branch, stained and frayed. My instincts screamed for me to leave, to run back to the safety of home, but an inexplicable pull urged me to investigate further. What had happened here? Who had come before me, and what had they encountered? The air turned electric, the forest closing in around me. A sense of impending doom washed over me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I had awakened something ancient, something I was never meant to find. But when night fell, something inexplicable happened. I stood frozen, the fabric fluttering in the wind like a ghostly banner as dread pooled in my stomach. My instinct screamed at me to turn and run, but the mystery was too tantalizing, too powerful to resist. Just as I reached for the fabric, a voice broke through the stillness, sending a jolt through my nerves. "Ethan, what are you doing out here?" It was Jake, my childhood friend, his silhouette emerging from the shadows, eyes wide with concern. "Jake, you scared me," I replied, forcing a laugh that fell flat. "What are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same thing," he said, stepping closer, his brow furrowed. "You know these woods are dangerous, especially at night." His warning hung in the air between us, heavy with unspoken truths. I had always admired Jake's practicality, his level-headedness. He was the type who preferred facts over folklore, the one who would roll his eyes at stories of Slender Man. Yet, standing here with him, I could see a flicker of unease in his eyes. "I found this," I said, gesturing to the fabric, "the remnants of someone's life caught in the branches. It's strange." Jake's expression shifted from concern to curiosity as he examined the torn fabric. "Where did you find this?" "Just over there," I pointed, my voice shaky. "But it feels like something's wrong here, Jake. I can't explain it." He glanced around, and I could see the wheels turning in his mind. "We should get out of here. It's not safe." But before I could respond, another sound shattered the silence, a low, guttural growl emanating from deeper in the woods. My heart raced as I exchanged a panicked look with Jake. "Did you hear that?" I whispered, my voice barely escaping my lips. "Yeah," he replied, his eyes darting toward the sound. "We need to go now." In that moment, the forest felt alive, a sinister entity watching us. An overwhelming urge to flee surged through me, but my feet felt heavy, as if the shadows were pulling me back. I had to know what was lurking in the darkness, had to confront the enigma that had entwined itself around my thoughts. "Wait," I said, gripping Jake's arm. "What if we find out what's really going on? What if there's more to the stories?" Jake's eyes widened, a mix of fear and frustration. "You think this is a game? We could be in real danger, Ethan." Before I could respond, the growl came again, closer this time, cutting through the night like a knife. The air turned thick with tension, and my heart pounded in my chest. I could feel the weight of the forest pressing down on me, the shadows shifting as if they were alive. "Let's just get out of here," Jake urged, his voice rising. "I don't want to be a part of whatever this is." Reluctantly, I nodded, but as we turned to leave, something caught my eye. A flicker of movement in the underbrush, a glimpse of something tall and slender. I froze, my breath hitching in my throat. "Ethan, come on!" Jake pulled at my arm, but I couldn't look away. The figure was there, just beyond the trees, its elongated limbs stretching unnaturally as it moved. Fear coursed through me, but a strange compulsion held me in place. I had to know what it was, what I had stumbled into. I took a step forward, and that's when everything changed. Suddenly, the ground beneath me shifted, and I felt myself falling into darkness. The last thing I heard was Jake's frantic shout before everything went black. When I woke, I wasn't alone. The air was thick with tension, and a group of unfamiliar faces loomed above me, their expressions a mix of concern and fear. Among them was Sarah, the girl whose stories had first drawn me into this nightmare. "What happened?" I croaked, pushing myself up. "Where am I?" "You fell into the hollow," she said, her voice trembling. "We need to get you out before it's too late." I looked around, the faces of my friends now haunted by shadows, and I realized the danger was far from over. We were caught in something much larger than ourselves, a web of secrets that threatened to consume us all. I struggled to sit up, disoriented by the weight of the shadows pressing around me. The hollow felt like a living entity, breathing and shifting with an unseen rhythm. I stared at Sarah, her eyes wide with fear, and everything clicked. The stories she told, the warnings about the woods, they weren't just tales. They were warnings rooted in a reality I had chosen to ignore. "Get me out?" I echoed, my voice shaky. "What do you mean before it's too late?" "They're coming," she whispered, glancing over her shoulder. The urgency in her tone made my heart race. I turned to see the others, Jake, still pale and wide-eyed, and a few unfamiliar faces, their expressions tight with anxiety. "Who are they?" I asked, my pulse quickening. "They're—" Sarah hesitated, as if struggling with what to reveal. "They're the ones who've always kept the secrets of the Hollow. They were chosen just like us." "Chosen?" Jake interjected, disbelief etched across his features. "For what?" I could see the tension mounting, the fear coiling tighter, as if the very air in the hollow was charged with something malevolent. "This isn't a game," I said, my voice stronger than I felt. "What's going on here?" "Do you remember the stories, Ethan?" Sarah pressed, urgency in her tone. "The ones about the disappearances, the ones that always seem to happen in cycles. You're part of that cycle." Her words crashed over me like a wave, dragging me under. I felt the memories flooding back, my childhood nightmares of shadowy figures lurking just beyond the light, my mother's hushed whispers about the woods, her fearful glances when I'd venture too close. I thought they were just stories, I murmured, the pieces snapping into place like a jigsaw puzzle I never wanted to complete. "They're not just stories," Jake added, his voice strained. "You've always had a connection to this place, Ethan. You can feel it, can't you? The pull?" I shook my head, desperation creeping in. "Number, this can't be real. I'm losing my mind." Sarah's hand tightened on my shoulder. "You aren't, but you need to believe us. There's something about you that this hollow wants. It knows you." A chilling realization gripped me. What if the darkness I felt wasn't just the forest? What if it was something inside me? My past, the traumas I had buried, were they entwined with whatever was lurking in this place? Was I destined to repeat the mistakes of those before me? Before I could voice my fears, a rustling sound echoed from the trees, and the group fell silent. The air grew colder, charged with an impending dread. From the underbrush, a figure emerged, tall and impossibly thin, its face obscured by shadows. My mind raced, recalling the stories of those who had vanished, the whispers of fate woven through the fabric of the hollow. "Ethan!" Sarah's voice broke through my panic. "We have to go, now!" But as the figure stepped closer, I knew this wasn't just about escaping. This was about understanding what had been awakened within me and why the hollow had chosen me. The secrets of my past were about to unravel, and I was terrified of what I might discover. I felt my heart thunder in my chest as the figure stepped forward, the shadows swirling around it like a shroud. Every instinct screamed for me to run, but I was rooted to the ground, a mix of fear and curiosity holding me captive. The others shifted nervously behind me, their breaths shallow, eyes flickering between the figure and me, as if they were waiting for me to make a move. "Ethan," Sarah said, her voice a thin thread of urgency, "you need to confront it. It's drawn to you." "Confront it?" I repeated, the word tasting foreign and bitter on my tongue. I felt the weight of the darkness pressing in, and I could hear whispers, almost like a cacophony of voices, urging me to come closer, to surrender. What if it's too late? The figure tilted its head, a mere shadow among shadows, and I felt its gaze pierce through me. I couldn't help but step forward, compelled by an invisible force that both terrified and intrigued me. "What do you want from me?" I shouted, my voice trembling with raw emotion. The figure spoke, its voice a haunting echo that seemed to resonate in the very marrow of my bones. "You are the key, Ethan. The cycle cannot continue without you. You must choose. Choose? I felt a rush of anger and confusion, my emotions roiling like a tempest. What kind of choice is this? You're saying I'm trapped in some kind of twisted fate? Fate is a construct, it replied, its voice smooth and cold. You have the power to break the cycle, but it requires sacrifice. Behind me, I heard Jake whisper, "What sacrifice?" The tension in the air thickened, and I could feel Sarah's hand trembling on my shoulder, her fear palpable. The figure gestured toward the trees, and I suddenly saw flickers of movement in the shadows. Faces, lost souls trapped in the hollow, their expressions twisted in anguish. The stories came rushing back. The missing, the forgotten, the darkness that lingered long after the tales were told. You must either embrace your past or let them remain in torment, it said, its tone unwavering. Embrace my past? My chest tightened as I struggled to process the weight of its words. You want me to accept whatever darkness I carry, to become one with it? Yes, it whispered, and the shadows around it shifted with a life of their own. Or you can choose to flee, but know this: fleeing will not break the cycle. It will only bind you further to it. A surge of desperation flooded me. I turned to Sarah and Jake, their eyes wide with fear and uncertainty. What do? I pleaded, my voice cracking. Trust your instincts, Sarah urged, her voice steady despite the chaos. You can't run from what you are. You have to face it. I looked back at the figure, its presence looming like a storm cloud. My heart hammered as I weighed the choices laid before me, each option heavy with consequence. Could I confront the darkness within me? Could I face whatever horror lay buried in my past? Or would I choose to turn away, condemning myself and the others to a fate worse than death? I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle around me. It was time to make my choice. I steadied my breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle around me like a thick fog. I choose to embrace my past, I declared, my voice stronger than I felt. The figure's dark silhouette seemed to pulse with approval, and I took another step forward, feeling the ground shift beneath my feet. As I crossed the threshold into darkness, a rush of memories flooded my mind. Faces I tried to forget, moments of pain and regret that had lingered like ghosts. I saw my younger self standing alone in the hall of my childhood home, the echoes of laughter twisted into cries for help. I felt the weight of my decisions, the burden of knowledge that had haunted me since that day. The shadows enveloped me, swirling around like a tempest, and I fought against the tide, determined to hold onto my identity. The figure reached out, its shadowy hand brushing against my skin. A flash of warmth surged through me, mingling with the chill of despair. You can break the cycle, Ethan. Accept your scars. They are a part of you, it urged. And in that moment, I felt a surge of power course through my veins. I closed my eyes, allowing the memories to wash over me, embracing the pain instead of shying away from it. When I opened my eyes again, the shadows began to recede, revealing the lost souls, their faces now calm and serene. They looked at me with gratitude, their chains of torment dissolving as the darkness lifted. But as they vanished into the light, I felt a pang in my chest, a reminder that I couldn't save everyone. I staggered backward, the weight of the confrontation settling heavily in my bones. The figure stood before me, no longer a harbinger of doom, but a guide. You have succeeded, but the scars remain. You will carry this burden, Ethan, and with it, the knowledge that darkness will always linger. I turned to Sarah and Jake, who watched with awe and fear. Their expressions mirrored my own turmoil. "What happens now?" Jake asked, his voice trembling. "You're forever changed," the figure replied softly, its presence beginning to fade. "You must decide how to carry these scars. They will shape your future." Sarah stepped closer, concern etched on her face. "But what about us? Are we safe now?" I searched her eyes. "I think we're free from the hollow, but I have a feeling this isn't over." My heart raced as I recalled the flickers of shadows I'd seen, the remnants of those who had been lost. "Ethan," Sarah whispered, "what if there are more like you? More cycles to break?" The figure nodded slowly, the shadows around it shifting once more. "You are a beacon now, Ethan. But with light comes darkness. Beware of what stirs in the depths." As it vanished, I felt both a sense of relief and an unsettling dread in my gut. We had survived, but the scars of our encounter ran deep. The hollow may have been silenced for now, but I could sense an undercurrent of mystery still alive in the air, whispering of unfinished stories and new challenges yet to come. I turned to my friends, my heart heavy with the knowledge that our journey was far from over. Together, we would face whatever darkness lay ahead, haunted by the truth that had just begun to unfurl. I took a deep breath, the air thick with uncertainty, and looked at Sarah and Jake. Their faces were a mirror of my own inner turmoil, hope tangled with dread. The weight of the figure's words lingered, a haunting reminder that this was only the beginning. I felt the echoes of the hollow still reverberating in my mind, a dark whisper that promised unfinished business. As we stood together, I couldn't shake the feeling that we had merely scratched the surface of something monumental. What if there are more like me? I mused aloud, my voice barely above a whisper. The shadows, though faded, felt like they were waiting, watching, ready to reclaim what they had lost. What if we're not done yet? Jake's voice trembled as he looked into the abyss where the figure had stood, the weight of our experiences settling heavily on his shoulders. I could see the flicker of fear in his eyes, the uncertainty of what lay ahead. "I don't know," I admitted, my heart racing. "But I can't ignore the feeling that something else is brewing. The darkness, it's still out there." As the last remnants of the figure's presence faded into the night, I realized that our journey had shifted from survival to understanding. We had faced the hollow, but what if more awaited us? What new challenges would rise from the shadows? Together, we stepped back into the world, the cool night air hitting our faces like a splash of cold water. I glanced back one last time, the horizon stretching before us, an open invitation to the unknown. The past had shaped us, but the future was unwritten, a canvas waiting for our choices. I turned to my friends, resolute yet uncertain. We'll figure it out, together. With that, we began to walk, the path ahead unclear but full of possibilities, each step echoing with the ghosts of what we had faced and the shadows of what was yet to come. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Share with your friends so they can also embark on this mystery-filled adventure, and leave a comment below telling us your favorite part or what kind of ending you'd like to see in a future story.